The new term kicks off with Kalego introducing personal tutors to help the Misfit class achieve Daleth rank. Each pair gets matched with specialized instructors. Jazz and Alistair are assigned to the crafty fire demon, Sergeant Furfur. Gomen and Pichero train under the water demon Vipar to strengthen their bloodline abilities. Elisabetta and Clara study charm under Raim. Crochel and Kamui work on summoning magic with the mysterious Mr. Hat. And Sabnok and Asmodeus train as warriors under the formidable Balam. Meanwhile, Iruma and Lid are given to Bars, who promises only to train their fighting spirits, but there's a twist. Bars's actual plan involves his cousin Barbados Bachiko, a loud, violent, and cruel instructor who only agreed to teach because Sullivan personally asked her. Ameri reminisces about her date with Iruma, but is disappointed when his training forces him to cancel their reading sessions of first love memories. Bachiko wastes no time making Iruma and Led's lives hell, hurling abuse at them, making them obey her every childish demand, and even forcing them to wear dresses for her twisted amusement. The training begins, and it's clear this won't be easy. Lead can't handle Bachiko's abuse and switches to Bars, leaving Iruma alone with the sadistic instructor. Bachiko reveals to Iruma that no one else has ever tolerated her abuse this long, but his stubborn instinct to please others makes him a challenging student to actually teach. Determined to prove himself, Iruma decides to become Bachiko's ideal errand boy, enduring even more ridiculous demands. Meanwhile, the other misfits suffer through their own hellish training. Vapar nearly drowns Gomen and Pissarro repeatedly. Bars forces Lead to play video games without sleep to boost concentration. Balam constantly battles Asmodeus and Sabnok, leaving them covered in injuries. Jazz and Aloser mysteriously disappear with Furfur. Clara and Elisabetta strike sexy poses for hours on end. And Crochel and Kamui are locked in cages with their summoned creatures. When Sullivan visits to check on Iruma's progress, Bachiko sheepishly admits she's been having so much fun abusing him that she forgot to actually start his training.
Women.
She finally introduces Iruma to her weapon, a bow that shoots 100 arrows with perfect accuracy, and takes him to the magical apparatus battler to craft his personal weapon. Bachiko demonstrates how her bloodline ability allows her to create bows from any material, but warns Iruma that he'll need a power core for the spell. Iruma selects a feather from his friend, the Valley Guardian Beast, as his core material. Bachiko explains that the upcoming Harvest Festival is a brutal battle for survival, and unless Iruma can create a bow tailored to his deepest desires, he'll fail. She reflects on her past students who quit or failed, doubting Iruma will succeed since he seems to have no selfish desires at all. Meanwhile, the other misfits make breakthrough progress. Goemon and Pichero evolve their bloodline abilities to escape Vapar's water cage. Crochel and Kamui form stronger bonds with their creatures. Led starts beating Bars at games, showing his improved concentration. Sabnok and Asmodeus learn to cooperate and finally land a hit on Balam, and Clara masters the rarest form of sexiness, while Elisabetta perfects traditional seductive posing. Alucred intervenes when Iruma overthinks his bow design, pointing out that desires are instinctive and selfish, not logical. Iruma finally reveals his most selfish wish, to heroically reach Daleth rank. This honest desire allows him to successfully create a winged demonic bow so perfect it reignites hope in Bachiko's heart. With every misfit proving their potential, the tutors advance them to the next stage. More weeks of absolute hellish suffering. After several grueling weeks, Bachiko declares Iruma ready for the Harvest Festival, though she warns him his bow only has 2 arrows, so he must choose his moments wisely. The Harvest Festival is finally here, a dangerous hunt in a monster-filled forest where students gather food ingredients for points. Theft and betrayal are encouraged since grading is individual, not team-based, though physical fighting is forbidden. The misfits arrive looking beaten up from training, but emanating terrifyingly powerful demonic auras. Asmodeus is gleeful to see Iruma again, while Clara has concealed herself in a fluffy animal costume and remains mysteriously silent. The festival's time limit is 6,666 minutes, roughly 4.5 days, and students can submit ingredients to referees for points anytime. Inside the forest, most students immediately start gathering easy 10-point ingredients. Asmodeus and Sabnock plan to hunt boss-class monsters worth 3,000 points each and share the spoils, while discussing the legendary Legend Leaf worth 100,000 points that no one has ever found. Their strategizing is interrupted by the Dorodoro brothers, Ichiro and Nero, skilled warrior students forced to repeat first year for being notorious rule breakers, who challenge them for the boss monsters. Ichiro and Nero declare that if they win, they'll retrieve their master whom Sabnock and Asmodeus supposedly stole from them. Elsewhere in the forest, Crochel and Kamui demonstrate their improved summoning by making monsters gather ingredients on their behalf. Aloser uses his superior intelligence to identify only the most valuable ingredients, teaming up with Jazz to con other students out of their hard-earned points. A flashback reveals that during their training, Furfur actually ran up a massive debt to the Demon Mafia and sold Jazz and Alikur to them as payment. They were forced to work in a casino, surviving by learning to anticipate people's intentions and manipulate them accordingly. Every day, Furfur would challenge them to a coin toss for their freedom, always winning, with Jazz certain he was cheating but never catching how. After 3 weeks, they realized the lesson wasn't about identifying Furfur's cheating method, it was about winning by cheating him back. They won the next coin toss with their own dirty trick, but Furfur had anticipated their cheating and still beat them, offering them another chance to play him if they win the Harvest Festival. Meanwhile, Sullivan watches with growing concern as many students plot to ambush Iruma, yet Iruma appears to calmly wait for them to make their move, seemingly unconcerned. The audience is confused seeing Iruma sitting peacefully and eating his gathered ingredients with lead instead of frantically collecting points. Balam explains to the confused spectators that Iruma is actually employing the optimal strategy. The festival lasts 4 days and most demons will exhaust themselves exchanging ingredients for points, then lose when they pass out from hunger. So by eating first and gathering points later, Iruma might actually emerge victorious. Made a survival expert by his harsh childhood in the human world, Iruma teaches lead essential skills for thriving in adversity. The students planning to ambush Iruma eventually leave since he's left no ingredients for them to steal. Lead discovers he's actually enjoying himself, but laments the lack of girls to talk to, referencing a fun mixer they attended with Sabnock, Jazz, and girls from other classes. Suddenly, Elisabetta and Clara, still in her costume, appear out of nowhere. Clara immediately drags Iruma away while Elisabetta effortlessly charms Lead out of his secret ingredient stash without even resorting to her newly developed sexy powers. A flashback reveals that during her training with Raim, Elisabetta's true wish was to develop the skills necessary to find a man to genuinely love. Once they're alone, Clara drags a surprised Iruma inside her costume, trapping them both inside together, declaring Iruma as successfully captured. Clara reveals her magical pockets have evolved into a dimensional space called Toy Box, filled with every imaginable toy and game. Iruma, unable to resist his childish nature, plays games with her for hours in this magical playground. Privately, Clara reveals her master plan, to finally make Iruma fall in love with her. However, she discovers Toy Box is designed to drain the victim's magic to function, but finds her own magic draining faster than Iruma's, evidence she's already in love with him. Gathering her courage, Clara confesses she loves him, but at that exact moment, Elisabetta suddenly opens the costume from outside, ending the spell and revealing it's already nighttime. As Clara and Elisabetta depart with their stolen ingredients, Iruma and Lead develop a newfound respect and healthy fear for the terrifying power that female demons possess. As night falls across the forest, exhaustion finally catches up with many students who find themselves becoming victims of the more dangerous ingredients they've collected. Panicked students quit the competition in droves as the ingredients' various magical abilities leave them incapacitated or worse. Many students require emergency rescue from referees to save their lives. One particularly aggressive monster ingredient chases several frightened girls into what appears to be a castle, where they accidentally wake up Pissarro, who had been sleeping peacefully inside. Without his customary sleep mask, the girls see Pissarro's beautiful face for the first time and instantly fall deeply in love with him, creating a chaotic situation. Pissarro explains he used his bloodline ability, My Area, to extend his bed into an entire castle, but he's extremely angry that Gomen keeps letting random people inside their sanctuary. When more students try to enter seeking shelter, Pissarro argues fiercely with Gomen over whether to let them in. Gomen rescues them anyway despite Pissarro's protests, so Pissarro, feeling guilty about arguing over people's safety, reluctantly lets them stay, and the girls relax thinking the fight is finally over. However, Pissarro immediately starts another heated argument when he discovers Gomen hasn't just rescued a few people, he's rescued dozens of students who now fill their castle. The tutors hold a drinking party with Sullivan, Opera, and Barbatos to discuss their students' progress. Mr. Hat proudly reports Crochelle and Kamui have earned 14,200 points through expert monster taming. Rhyme boasts that Elisabetta and Clara have accumulated 9,400 points by skillfully manipulating male students. Vipar celebrates that Pissarro and Gomen have gathered 8,200 points by hunting safely from their castle fortress. Furfur is impressed Jazz and Alicer earned 12,800 points through theft and cunning manipulation. Sullivan and Barbatos insist Iruma is the likeliest winner, despite Iruma and Liad currently having 0 points. In the forest, Liad remains convinced Elisabetta has romantic feelings for him, while Iruma is confused about Clara's confession from earlier. Back at the party, the tutors get increasingly drunk and eventually pass out from celebrating. The Dorodoro brothers demand their master back, successfully goading Asmodeus and Sabnock into accepting their challenge. The two pairs battle a flapple bird worth 10,800 points, with Nero proving himself a master strategist while Ichiro demonstrates complete combat proficiency, while Asmodeus and Sabnock argue constantly and struggle to coordinate. The brothers reveal their bloodline ability, Peacock of Provocation, which makes enemies lose their temper uncontrollably. They attempt to provoke Sabnock into attacking them directly, which would disqualify him from the festival for breaking the no-fighting rule. Asmodeus stops him just in time, exposing their ability and strategy. The brothers explain their dream to become warriors nearly got them killed when they joined a battle completely unprepared, and their master rescued and trained them, but suddenly left to become a teacher. Asmodeus and Sabnock naturally assume they mean Balaam, but it's shockingly revealed their actual master is Furfur. They never bothered to confirm who Furfur was tutoring. Asmodeus loses his temper upon this revelation and uses secret pills from Balaam to trigger his evil cycle at will, increasing his power and releasing his repressed evil side, unimaginably elegant and savage. The Flapple is swiftly defeated, and despite wanting to see Asmodeus disqualified, the brothers must dodge his deadly attacks to avoid being killed. Sabnock snaps Asmodeus back to normal using a programmed password, the thing closest to Asmodeus's heart, Iruma's name. Back to normal, they immediately argue over who deserves the most points from the Flapple. The referees announce Day 2 of the festival has officially begun. Lead becomes convinced Iruma is secretly planning to find the legend leaf, and Iruma, caught off guard by the suggestion, accidentally agrees without thinking it through. Since no student has ever seen the leaf, Iruma wonders about asking the forest monsters themselves, leading them to seek out Crochelle and Kamui. They find that Crochelle's new authority over animals has pushed her almost into her evil cycle, causing her to style herself as the Queen of Monsters, with Kamui serving as her loyal majordomo. In exchange for wearing dresses and dancing while Carolee takes embarrassing pictures, Crochel's monsters reveal crucial information. The legend leaf hasn't even grown yet, and they provide a cryptic riddle concerning the location of both the seed and the vase required to grow it. As students continue quitting from exhaustion, the referees bring in the student council to help with rescue operations. Ameri is absolutely convinced Iruma will be the one to finally find the legendary leaf. Later, Ameri discovers a gambling den full of forfeited students wagering on who will win the festival, and investigating further, she's shocked to find the ringleaders are two misfits who forfeited suddenly and inexplicably, Jazz and Alicer. Jazz and Alicer reveal they fell victim to fellow student Oribas, whose bloodline ability trauma forces victims to see nightmarish visions. Jazz saw terrifying visions of his selfish brother Rock, and when Jazz attacked what he thought was Rock, he actually attacked Oribas, resulting in both Jazz and Alicer being disqualified from the competition. Alicer informs Ameri that Oribas is specifically targeting the misfits to systematically disqualify them from winning. Meanwhile, since the riddle contains multiple clues, Iruma and Lead split the riddle in half and decide to search separately. Iruma discovers the cave that should contain the seed, but Alacrid worries about Iruma's ability to defend himself alone without his friends. Inside, Iruma discovers Naphala the Silent, a notoriously smelly student trapped by magical vines. Alacrid suggests leaving him, but Iruma's kind nature compels him to rescue Naphala instead. Reaching an underground temple together, they locate the seed, but must narrowly dodge an attack from the seed's massive guardian, Toto the Genie. Toto informs them that to earn the seed they must either defeat him in battle or tell him something interesting, something he doesn't already know. Iruma and Nafula are stumped since Toto claims to know everything about the netherworld. Then Iruma realizes Toto is completely ignorant about humans. So he, Alacrid, and Nafula perform dramatic scenes from first love memories, which Toto becomes utterly obsessed with. By this, Toto awards them the seed and demands Iruma's phone number so he can hear the rest of the story later. Iruma generously decides to share his points with Nafula as thanks for his help, also noticing that Nafula's notorious stench no longer bothers him after spending time together. Finding their way out of Toto's temple, Iruma is abruptly confronted by nightmarish visions of his selfish human parents, who announce they've returned to begin taking advantage of Iruma again like they used to. He's so terrified by their sudden reappearance that he slips and falls into a deep chasm. Orobas, who had used his trauma ability to create these nightmarish visions, is satisfied by Iruma's supposed death, but leaves Nafula unharmed since he's not a misfit. Injured from his fall, Iruma suffers through more visions, all his friends rejecting him for being human, Sullivan trying to return him to his abusive parents, losing everything he's gained in the demon world. A vision of Barbatos appears, but rather than frightening him further, it only reminds him of the life-threatening lessons she taught him and the strength he's gained. His courage fully restored, Iruma summons his demonic bow and uses one of his precious 2 shots to shoot and completely destroy the visions. With renewed determination burning in his heart, Iruma decides to become the best demon he possibly can and prove it to everyone by winning the Harvest Festival. Now on the festival's 3rd day, Kalego reveals shocking information. Whoever wins the Harvest Festival will receive the prestigious title Young King, marking them as a potential successor to the Demon King himself. He also reveals that one student still has 0 points. The misfits panic as they realize it must be Iruma, but Asmodeus and Clara maintain absolute faith in him. With his injured leg, Iruma cannot climb the chasm walls to escape, but Nafula appears and uses a fast-growing vine to create a natural ladder. However, Iruma still cannot climb with his injured leg hindering him, when he suddenly remembers how his human blood healed the Valley Guardian's baby. Adding a single drop of his blood to the vine, it grows so explosively fast and enormously that it breaks through the ground and towers over the entire forest like a massive tree. Iruma boldly declares he still intends to win despite his setback, but Kalego angrily reminds him he still has 0 points and time is running out. Meanwhile, Lyd has successfully retrieved the Vase of Endings after defeating his own genie by winning 100 incredibly difficult games through his enhanced concentration. The referees announce that the vase alone is worth 20,000 points, but the announcement also makes Lyd a prime target for other students seeking to steal it. Lyd attempts to hide while desperately searching for Iruma, but runs into the seductive Elisabetta once again. Iruma finds Lyd crying pathetically, and Lyd reveals that Elisabetta robbed him of the precious vase, not by seducing him as usual, but by coldly telling him he's not her type and she doesn't like him at all. Knowing that Elisabetta would never be so needlessly cruel to a friend, Iruma immediately suspects it was another hallucination created by Orobas, meaning Orobas successfully stole the vase. Lyd confirms this theory using his training-enhanced sense-steal ability, learning the real Elisabetta is actually miles away relaxing in a secret hot spring with Clara and Crocel. At the hot spring, Crocel proposes forming a team with Elisabetta and Clara to invade Picaro and Goemon's castle. Pitero, having no interest in fighting or competition, immediately decides to surrender the castle to Crocel and end this peacefully. However, all the students they've been sheltering in the castle decide to fight back to protect their generous hosts. Kamui, having been trained in gentleman combat by Mr. Hat, leads Crocel's monsters into battle, but they're all soundly defeated by Goemon's tremendously enhanced windsword technique. Refusing to give up, Kamui summons boss-class monsters as reinforcements, and the intense battle continues to escalate. Orobas trades the stolen vase to a referee for 20,000 points, catapulting him into first place. At the castle, the defenders successfully repel the monster assault, so Elisabetta begins using her charm abilities on male students to weaken their defense. Meanwhile, Clara mysteriously disappears on her own without explanation. Iruma, Lyd, and Naphala meet up with Elisabetta and confirm that Orobas is indeed systematically targeting the misfits. Orobas, who has consistently been stuck in second place his entire life and is rumored to be part of a cult that worships the second, is unbearably jealous of the Misfit Class's popularity and incredible abilities, driving his desperate desire to prove he's better than them by becoming young king. He briefly feels guilty about using trauma on innocent students, but his mysterious partner Ocho mentally manipulates him into forgetting his guilt and continuing his assault. Orobas finds Clara alone and gives her devastating visions of Iruma, telling her she's annoying and that he only talks to her for her ability to provide free snacks. Iruma arrives just in time and furiously destroys the cruel vision with his last remaining arrow, shattering the illusion. Orobas becomes so enraged by the interference that he prepares to use his strongest level of trauma to permanently break their minds for the rest of their lives, but Asmodeus appears from seemingly nowhere and physically stops him. Asmodeus is immediately disqualified for physically attacking Orobas and breaking the festival rules, but he proceeds to knock Orobas out cold anyway, coldly warning him that he will return and kill him if he ever harms Iruma or any other misfit again. Ocho secretly retrieves the unconscious Orobas, smugly confident that with the vase already submitted to the referees, no one can possibly stop Orobas from becoming young king, and he offers Orobas extra rare plants as additional prizes. However, Iruma refuses to surrender, remaining certain there's still a way to achieve victory, when suddenly, the referee that Orobas submitted the vase to reappears, revealing himself to actually be Alosir in perfect disguise. Alosir explains that while Jazz was disqualified for attacking Orobas, Alosir himself never actually attacked anyone during the festival. Instead, he posed as being disqualified to gain access to the security cameras monitoring the entire competition while still technically being a competitor. Alosir returns the vase to Iruma, placing all of the misfits' collective trust and hopes in him to win. As the competition time rapidly runs out, the remaining misfits celebrate their impressively high scores. With both the vase and the seed finally in hand, Iruma and Lead are ready to grow the legendary Legend Leaf and claim victory. Nafula uses his special watering can to water the planted leaf, but it also requires vast amounts of magic to properly grow. Iruma considers using Ifrit mode to provide the magic, but Alacred's magic reserves are too drained from previous battles. Clara generously gives back all the magic she accumulated from victims in her toy box, and the leaf finally blooms into an anticlimactic, goofy, smiling face. Just as the festival officially ends right when the leaf bloomed, Iruma receives a mysterious vision of the previous Demon King Durkala, though its meaning is unclear. Clara and Nafula both refuse to accept their share of points, so Iruma and Lead each receive 50,000 points. However, to everyone's complete surprise, Orobas is announced as the victor with 58,000 points total, yet he still feels emotionally unsatisfied by this hollow victory. But then Jazz suddenly points out a crucial overlooked detail. The leaf itself is worth 100,000 points, but the vase is worth a separate 20,000 points as an independent item. The judges quickly confirm this ruling, meaning Iruma and Lead actually receive 60,000 points each, and are the joint victors of the Harvest Festival. Surprisingly, Orobas feels content with this outcome since third place finally breaks his lifelong curse of always coming in second place, and the experience helps him realize his hatred of the Misfits was actually masking his deep jealousy of their genuine friendships. Ameri reveals that Nafula is actually a student council member, and saving him from the vines was the secret third task required to grow the leaf, as only Nafula possessed the rainbow watering can necessary for it to bloom. The leaf, who can actually speak, reveals the tasks to make him bloom were carefully designed tests of character to find the least evil demon worthy of becoming the young king. To honor the new young kings, the leaf announces a special prize for every demon in attendance. The legend leaf spectacularly explodes in a burst of magic, transforming the entire dangerous forest into beautiful cherry blossoms as a permanent monument honoring the young king's victory. Iruma and Lead are both promoted to Dale, 4th rank. Orobas, Sabnok, and the Dorodoro brothers are all promoted to Gimel, 3rd rank, for their impressive scores and performances. Pizarro and Gomen achieve Gimel rank for their heroic efforts protecting numerous students in their castle sanctuary. Crochel and Kamui achieve Gimel for their remarkable success. Barbados enthusiastically praises Iruma for his hard-earned success. Orobas struggles to remember specific details about his partner Ocho. Iruma and Lead are ceremoniously given front-row thrones as the young kings, with Iruma immediately grabbing both Clara and Asmodeus and refusing to let them go. Though Crocel feels utterly mortified remembering the embarrassing things she did while possessed by her monster queen persona. Kalego grows concerned about Orobas' suspicious amnesia regarding who manipulated him, but becomes distracted when Iruma summons him in his adorable fluffy owl form so the Misfits can properly celebrate together with their teacher. After all the festivities conclude, everyone returns home to reunite with their waiting parents. Sullivan has something extremely important to tell Iruma, but decides to delay the conversation until after properly celebrating his grandson's incredible victory. All the Babyls teachers go out for drinks to celebrate the successful festival, including Kalego, who was reluctantly forced by Balam to attend. Robin, who is hosting the party at his establishment, strategically seats the shy Momonoki next to Kalego, on whom she has harbored a crush ever since he mentored her as a trainee teacher. All the teachers unanimously agree that Iruma is definitely the most impressive and remarkable student they've encountered. Robin shares his heartfelt opinion that students are like family to teachers, only for every other teacher to ominously disagree with dark expressions. Students are not family. They are precious treasures that teachers must protect at all costs. Anyone who dares threaten that treasure will receive severe discipline as punishment. A flashback to the end of the festival reveals that Ocho was actually an infiltrator from the Second Faith, and that he deliberately manipulated Orobas into believing his pattern of always coming in second place was a mystical omen rather than coincidence. Robin, acting on Kalego's direct orders, successfully found and shot Ocho with a non-fatal attack as a clear warning to the cult to stay away from Babyls students. Ocho reports back to his true master, the powerful demon Bal, about everything he learned regarding the Misfit Class. Through reviewing footage from a recording bug Ocho secretly planted on Iruma, they make a world-shattering discovery. Iruma is actually a human. Kiriwo, now serving as Bayal's subordinate, literally salivates with twisted joy at this revelation, fantasizing about plunging Iruma into ultimate despair by eating him alive. Bal coldly confirms that the demon world will very soon become incredibly interesting. Iruma visits Lead's home to play video games together and strengthen their friendship. The two friends decide to stop using the honorific boku, casual friend, and begin using the more intimate or close friend instead. Lead mischievously reveals an erotic magazine, attempting to get Iruma to talk about which girls he likes, causing such a loud commotion that they accidentally awaken Lead's terminally unmarried older sister, Shaki. Upon seeing the adorable Iruma, Shaki immediately attempts to charm and seduce him, but is swiftly banished back to her room by an embarrassed and protective Lead. Despite the awkward encounter, Shaki is actually genuinely impressed seeing that Lead is maturing into a responsible adult who deeply values his friendships. The two boys then proceed to have a ridiculous argument with each other over who is the little brother in their relationship, neither wanting to be seen as the younger one. Iruma has resumed his regular reading sessions of first love memories with Ameri, beginning a new chapter focused on cooking romantic meals. Ameri decides to bake Iruma homemade sweets as congratulations for winning the Harvest Festival, and is absolutely dumbfounded when Iruma innocently invites her to his house to cook together. Opera is completely shocked to discover that both Iruma and Ameri are absolutely abysmal cooks who have no idea what they're doing and desperately steps in to prevent them from accidentally poisoning themselves or burning down the kitchen. After a harsh and traumatic cooking ordeal that leaves Opera mentally scarred from the experience, they finally manage to bake simple but edible cookies. Iruma cheerfully plans to share his cookies with all his friends, and is pleasantly surprised when Ameri shyly gives her cookies specifically to him as a personal congratulations gift for winning the festival. After inviting Barbados over to his mansion for snacks and tea, Sullivan gravely reveals to her that several high-ranking demons have been mysteriously kidnapped by the dangerous Musashino gang. He asks Barbados to continue tutoring and protecting Iruma, then drops a bombshell by informing her that Iruma is actually human. Barbados is so utterly shocked by this revelation that Sullivan offers to erase her memory if knowing endangers her, but she courageously decides to keep the secret and protect Iruma. Later, Asmodeus invites both Iruma and Clara to his luxurious home, where Clara immediately causes her usual lovable chaos, until Asmodeus playfully gloats that Clara is still only Gimel, 3rd rank, while he achieved higher. Clara fires back by gloating about the intimate time she spent playing with Iruma alone in her toy box, making Asmodeus jealous. Iruma suddenly feels tremendous crushing guilt that he still hasn't told his two best friends that he's human, fearing their rejection. Asmodeus's kind mother, Amu, happens to overhear his guilt about keeping secrets and wisely assures him that keeping secrets isn't inherently bad, unless he feels he can't truly be their friend without revealing them. Feeling reassured, Iruma instead tells both Asmodeus and Clara how much their friendship genuinely means to him. Privately, Iruma hopes he'll be brave enough to tell them the truth about being human one day when the time is right. Back at Babyls School, the Misfits enthusiastically prepare for the upcoming music festival, their last remaining chance to get all the Gimel-ranked students promoted to Dalet, as well as promote Bet-ranked Elizabetta even higher. However, Kalego delivers a shocking reminder about their other classmate who is still only bet rank, the mysterious Person Soy, who this entire time has gone completely unnoticed by absolutely everybody due to his unique ability.